Now it takes me great pleasure to introduce today's guest speaker, Ms. AiVi Nguyen. When we asked the student body who they wanted in a graduation speaker, many of you said, we want someone like us, someone from the community, someone who wasn't handed things, but who had to struggle and was able to succeed and accomplish a lot, someone who could and would inspire us. And the first name that came to my mind was AiVi. Ms. Nguyen is a trial attorney focused on complex business disputes. She is a partner at Bowditch Attorneys, a prestigious law firm that has been serving Worcester for over a century. She joined Bowditch in 2009 after graduating from the University of Pennsylvania and Boston College Law School. AiVi is not your typical law firm partner or business litigator. She is a young woman of color. She is the child of Vietnamese refugees who escaped Vietnam with no money, no skills, and no English. She grew up on welfare and in Section 8 housing projects in Worcester, like Great Brook Valley and Upland Gardens. AiVi has been working since she was 15 years old, and since then, she has paid for everything she needed by herself. AiVi was the first in her family to go to college, which she paid for on her own. She is the first in her family to own a house, which she paid for on her own. Because AiVi grew up having to work hard and never having anything handed to her, she excelled as a lawyer and quickly became a leader at her firm and in the community. She was elected into Bowditch Partnership in 2016 when she was just 31 years old, becoming the youngest in the firm's history. AiVi has been the recipient of many awards and recognition in the city, including the Inspirational Woman of Worcester's Award, the Worcester Business Journal's Outstanding Women in Business Award, the YWCA of Central Massachusetts Catherine F. Erskine Award in the category of Business and Law, and in 2015, she was a member of the 40 Under 40 class, an honor given by the Worcester Business Journal. AiVi has dedicated her life to helping others get access to opportunity to help them break the cycle of poverty. She is the chair of the board of directors of the United Way of Central Massachusetts, where I am proud to serve with her. And she is the vice chair of the Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee for the City of Worcester. She is also on the board for the Edward M. Kennedy Community Health Center, and from 2010 until 2016, she was a trustee of Quinsigamond Community College. Please join me in welcoming Ms. AiVi Nguyen.
So it's a huge honor for me to be standing here today, able to speak to Quinsigamond Community College's class of 2019. When I look at you, I see Worcester's backbone. I see our future. I see my future colleagues. You are our future business leaders, leaders in healthcare, education, manufacturing, technology, law enforcement, and government. Dr. Badraha, the administration, faculty, board of trustees, and I are so very proud of you. But there's a little bit of a disconnect that I'd like to talk to you about. In the past couple weeks, when people found out that I would be the commencement speaker for QCC, some people said to me, "Oh, I wish I knew. I would have, told my son, daughter, husband, neighbor who's graduating, and maybe they would have decided to walk at commencement." And I'd say, why wouldn't they walk at commencement? And the response was always something similar. It was, well, they're a little embarrassed because it's community college. And I do like this look. Like, embarrassed about what? Embarrassed that they got a top-notch education, will be able to ease into the workforce and not be saddled by a ton of debt? Like, what am I missing, right? The graduates who sat today out because they're embarrassed are letting other people tell their story. We each have our own unique story. There are so many things in our lives that happen to us that we cannot control. But the one thing that we can always control is how we tell our story. I'm gonna give you like a simple example. So I recently started running again after a year away from injury. And it's been hard, but like in the past 2 or 3 weeks, I've been able to consistently run 3 miles without stopping. I'm proud of myself, right? But when it first started happening and I talked about it, I'd present it as like, oh yeah, I went for a run today, but it wasn't far, it was just 3 miles. And I didn't go fast, like turtles were running by me, right? I presented it that way because I was embarrassed to be proud. I was scared that people would judge me for being proud of something that maybe they didn't think was such a big deal, even though it was a really big deal for me. First of all, nobody's judging you. Second of all, if they are, that's a them problem, not a you problem, right? And third, running 3 miles, whoa, see, I got excited. Running 3 miles without stopping is actually not that easy, right? And I worked really hard. So just because other people run marathons doesn't mean I can't be proud of my 3 miles. I gave myself permission to be proud, and I changed the way I talk about that accomplishment. I can run 3 miles without stopping. When Dr. Pedraja was introducing me, he said some things about me that I used to be so embarrassed about. I never wanted people to know that like I grew up in the projects and that we were poor and my parents don't speak English, because I was scared of being judged. But like my 3 miles, nobody was judging me. And if they were nobodies, right? They were nobodies. So for me to let a nobody tell my story, it prevented me from feeling proud about how far I've come. And you know something? If Dr. Pedraja didn't add in those things that were embarrassing, my story would be really boring, right? He would have said, this is AiVi Nguyen, she's a lawyer at this law firm, she went to this college, graduated from this law school, and won these awards. And you would have all looked at him like, cool story, bro. Like, it's all that extra stuff, right? It's that stuff that I used to be embarrassed about that make me interesting, that make my story unique. Something I've learned that I just want all of you to understand. We are not defined by our challenges or the circumstances in our lives that we can't control. We are defined by how we respond to those challenges and circumstances. Once I learned that, I changed the way I tell my story. I'm the daughter of uneducated Vietnamese refugees who came to this country not able to speak English and with no money. I grew up in extreme poverty, supported by welfare, surrounded by drugs and violence. I know what it's like to be cold, hungry, afraid, hopeless. Society wrote me off as just another raggedy Vietnamese kid in the hood with no voice. I ignored society. I worked twice as hard as everyone else. Today, I'm a partner at the most prestigious law firm in Worcester. Thank you. Today, I am a community leader whose voice is valued. Society does not write me off anymore. Thank you. I'm proud of every part of that story, and that the story wouldn't exist without that beginning part. We each have our own unique story. You graduating from QCC today, it's forever going to be one of the best parts of your story. Because in order for you to be here today, you had to overcome tremendous challenges. Be proud of those challenges and own your story. Proudly say to people, I'm an immigrant who didn't know how to speak English when I came to this country. I'm going to show you that success comes in all different accents. I'm a graduate of QCC's class of 2019. You say to them, I'm a single mother. I work 2 jobs and put myself through school because my kids are going to know what independence looks like. I'm a graduate of QCC's class of 2019. I was deployed overseas, and the transition back to civilian life is a struggle for me, but I deserve to taste the freedom that I fought so bravely to protect. I'm a graduate of QCC's class of 2019. I was bounced around the foster care system all my life. I vow to grow roots where I can flourish. I'm a graduate of QCC's class of 2019. I've suffered unspeakable tragedy and loss. I get out of bed every day because I refuse to let the darkness swallow me up. I'm a graduate of QCC's class of 2019. I've made some bad decisions in the past that I deeply regret. I'm here to prove that people can and do change for the better. I'm a graduate of QCC's class of 2019. I'm smart enough to know that you can get a top-notch education, ease into the workforce, and not be saddled by a ton of debt. I'm a graduate of QCC's class of 2019. You are our future. I know it. They know it. We just want to be sure that you know it. So own your stories. Be proud of your stories. I'm AiVi Nguyen. I once was just another raggedy poor kid from the hood with no voice. Now when I speak, everybody listens. And I can run 3 miles without stopping. Congratulations, class of 2019. It has been a privilege for me to be a small part of your story.
Stay standing. We're going to be very impressed. Thank you, AiVi. It's always a pleasure to know you and to have you here with us today. That was an excellent story, and I know it's a story that many of our students share. And I hope you're inspired. I hope you listen closely. Don't be embarrassed. You're amazing. Believe in yourself. Yeah, give yourself a hand. You've accomplished a great thing. And one day you're going to add your story to one of our commencements as well. I know it.